times. Ben, if Diane is giving us the fear factor, we've already seen the war, which is another, of course, attack on people's minds, making them fearful and anxious. You are absolutely staying on the case of the people behind the scenes who are driving this world turbulence. And of course, these are the very people that Keir Starmer thinks are more important than Westminster.
Indeed they are. Have no fear, everybody. Hello, it's nice to be here. And we're going to continue on the fear theme because we're going to talk about climate change. And we're going to look at the very top of the global pyramid. And we're going to ask the question, who's really pulling the strings of the global climate change agenda? And we're going to start here with these ladies. This is where I left off last week. And this image came from this lady here, Lisa Witter, who is the Chief Executive of the Apolitical Foundation. We've spoken about her a lot previously. She's going to give us a little hand kicking things off today. So she's from Apolitical. She's also a young global leader of the World Economic Forum. And she used this slide, which I'm just going to reintroduce to everyone. I've shown it a few weeks ago, where it shows the integration of the two main global power structures, the government and the financial markets, the public and the private sectors, being driven by the 17 Sustainable Development Goals from the UN. You can see that that ring in the center, that's the 17 SDGs, that's binding together these two global power structures. That meets Mussolini's definition of fascism. I'll add that in over the top. Just give Lisa a little helping hand there. She forgot to put it on. And at the bottom, you can see, importantly, if you wouldn't mind just bringing that back up, thank you very much. You can see in bold the big propaganda narrative driving everything forward, what they call major threats. We've just been talking about fear. These are the major threats. The one that's the biggest at the top in bold is climate change. Yeah, so the fear narrative, the propaganda narrative that's driving this fascist agenda is the climate change narrative, right? Really important to just set that out up front. Now, back to the image. We're going to talk a bit about this lady today. That's Mary Robinson, who currently runs something called Project Dandelion. And that relates to the badges that you can see. So, at least 6 of the ladies in this image are wearing badges, green and yellow badges. Yeah, and it's one of these, right? So that's a dandelion. And it relates to this Project Dandelion, which is a women-led global campaign for climate justice, which launched about a year ago. And you can see in the right-hand corner there, every issue is a climate issue. Really importantly, every issue is a climate issue, right? They're turning everything into a climate issue. And let's hear a little bit more about dandelions from some of the ladies in this short video.
Our climate is in crisis.
I believe we can solve it.
I am clear-eyed about the challenges, and I choose hope.
I will be part of the solution.
I will share my ideas.
Above all, I will act.
I am a dandelion.
And like a dandelion, I am resilient. I am relentless.
I will find any opening
in every path
to make more dandelions.
Together, we will build a future
where everyone is safe
from a changing climate.
I am a dandelion. I am a dandelion.
I am a dandelion.
I am a dandelion.
I am a dandelion.
I'm a dandelion. Are you?
Our climate is in crisis, but I have hope. I will act. Yeah, I'm quoting from the video here. And importantly, like a dandelion, I am resilient. I am relentless. I will find any opening in any path to make more dandelions. Yeah, very clearly telling you what they're up to, what they're about, and spreading this message. And obviously, it's a nice analogy because dandelions, they get everywhere. Yeah, actually, if they get caught on the right gust of wind, they can travel for thousands of miles. And this is how they're spreading this climate message through this network, intimately linked to the SDGs. So we can actually see, I don't know if you noticed in the film, that's Mary Robinson again. You can see the dandelion badge on her left lapel, her left, not our left. And then also on the other lapel, the SDG badge. Yeah, these things are very, very closely linked. Have to understand symbolism here. These sigils, these brands, these names are how this message gets spread. And that shows that this fascist and this climate agenda are in one place being pushed forward by Mary Robinson in particular. And who is she? Just give you a little bit more background. So she's former president of Ireland. She said she was elected by the women of Ireland, who instead of rocking the cradle, rocked the system. She was then a UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, did a lot of time at the UN, and now calls herself a climate justice champion, saying we are the first generation to understand how serious the climate crisis is and the last generation to be able to do something about it. She was actually the UN envoy for climate when the SDGs were introduced in 2015. Yeah, so she's intimately involved in this whole agenda. She sends out a personal message on the Project Dandelion website. You should go and read this, saying, we are calling on women of the world to unite in action for a climate-safe world. A climate-safe world. I'll come back to that term in a minute. Just, as I say, go and read the letter, but importantly, it says that we will build a chorus of voices that will help us to reach and motivate 2 billion people to act for climate justice, united under a single vision. And this is a single vision for delivering what they call climate justice. It's going to be delivered by 2 billion people, which is basically, it's like a quarter of the women on Earth, right? This is all very much focused on women. It's a lot of people. And they're going to deliver what they call a climate-safe world. Let's find out a bit more about what that means.
That I don't have to worry anymore. I'm extremely stressed, worried, can't figure out how we're going to get there. And if I wake up tomorrow and it's done, it's like, what a relief.
We would be using the sun for all of its glory, and we would have enormous amounts of electricity to power so many things or everything on our planet. We would no longer be using fossil fuels. The asthma rates would be disappearing.
What I would be most excited for is to actually have everyone in our communities access nature and access clean air and access clean water.
I'd be most excited to know that my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren had a future.
And I think that says it all. And I think a lot of people would agree.
So a lot of this is about fear, as we've been talking about. The women in this video, some of them, they've just been propagandized, frankly, by the people behind this program, right? So they're worried, they're fearful, they want to change things, but they don't really know how. There's a lot of poorly articulated solutions, a lot of it based on climate tech, regenerative or sustainable energy systems that we know don't work in most countries on Earth. They are tapping into some very valid concerns that people have about the impact that humanity is having on the natural world. And I think they're very cynically doing this. And also there's this, what I think about as the weaponization of the maternal instinct. So the lady at the end there saying she's worried about her children, her grandchildren, and her great-grandchildren's future, as she should be. But it's being manipulated and hijacked by the people behind programs like this, frankly, in order to deliver this fascist agenda coming down from the UN and elsewhere. So they've got a bunch of demands, as you'd expect. I'll just focus on a couple of these. The first one, top right, number 3, pay up to those least responsible but most impacted. So a lot of this is about wealth redistribution. And then number 7 there, elevate women-led climate solutions. So basically put women in charge of everything and direct a lot of funding towards them, actually, if I'm being cynical about this. Like, a lot of this is about women seeking high-powered jobs, particularly in the upper levels of organisations like this and the ecosystem surrounding them. They've got a bunch of lobbying going on. As I said, every issue is a climate issue. So Mary Robinson is saying that the climate crisis is just unfair. It's unfair to women and girls, so we have to change everything. Another one here, sexual and gender-based violence is a climate issue. I'm really not sure how that is. And then a personal favourite is that extreme weather events impact menstrual justice. And that's a new one for me. I've never heard of menstrual justice before, but here we are. So they're getting a lot of high-level coverage. So this is Mary Robinson speaking at COP in the Faith Pavilion. There's a big overlap here with interfaith issues. It seems to be where they've landed it, and also Indigenous people. The Pope was in on the act. Apparently he's a dandelion as well. He's got a badge in his hand there. We spoke about the Vatican last week as well. Bunch of celebs. So that is actually Donatella Versace on the left. and Annie Lennox from the Eurythmics on the right, who is calling herself a global feminist these days, and she's got one of those badges on as well. And they got loads and loads and loads of supporters. For all those who choose hope, we choose you. Importantly, just to land back on the symbolism thing again, that's a Ukraine flag, right? Go and look at the website. Those colours are Ukrainian colours very, very clearly. And actually, the yellow at the bottom there, where the supporters are, I think that's important, because actually groups using this colour to organise people, I just think bear a little bit of scrutiny. You know, they might be up to no good. So who have we got on the list? Apolitical Foundation, Gates Foundation, the B Team, the Rockefeller Foundation, Skoll Foundation, a lot of the top-level philanthropic groups, Vital Voices, who I've spoken about previously, which is the US State Department and Hillary Clinton-backed global network of powerful women in commerce and politics. But importantly for today, I'm going to focus on one of them, which is this organisation, which is the Elders. And the Elders was founded in 2007 by Nelson Mandela. They call themselves an independent global leaders network working together for peace, justice, human rights, and a sustainable planet. Climate crisis is a big focus for them. Also multilateralism, gender equality, intergenerational dialogue. It's very exclusive. There's 12 people on the Elders Committee. You can see them at the bottom there. Founded, as I mentioned, in 2007 by Nelson Mandela, who is, as I understand it, a 33rd degree Freemason. He was anyway. He's obviously died in 2013. It's currently chaired by Juan Manuel Santos, who's that guy just second in from the left, who is also known as Blair's man in Bogota, and he was one of the global leader of Tomorrow class of 1993, alongside Blair, Brown, and Vladimir Putin as well, actually, as we understand it. There's a great article from Winter Oak, which you should go and read, by Paul Kudenek, which we'll provide a link to, which gives a great background on him. And then Mary Robinson, who was chair of the Elders from 2018 to 2024, she left in October last year, I'm guessing to focus more on this Dandelions programme. And importantly, also an elder is Ernesto Zedillo on the right there, who's a former president of Mexico. And last summer, back in June, Mary Robinson and Ernesto Zedillo and Ban Ki-moon, who is also an elder, former Secretary of the UN, went to meet Antonio Guterres at the UN to talk about global security issues, Israel, Palestine, and how to strengthen multilateralism amid geopolitical tensions. So Zedillo is obviously a close confidant and advisor to Mary Robinson, and he is a senior emeritus member of the Group of 30. And the Group of 30 is the absolute pinnacle of the global financial system, right? So they provide oversight of the Bank of International Settlements and the global central banking system. The majority of members of the Group of 30 are current or former central bankers. So people like Mark Carney, who's currently the chair, Andrew Bailey, who's the current governor of the Bank of England, he's on the Group of 30. And this is right at the top of the pyramid. Let's have a little look at a few of the other characters. You can see Augustine Carstens there, the general manager of the Bank of International Settlements, Janet Yellen, chair of the Fed, Tim Geithner, US Treasury Secretary, Jacob Frenkel, former governor of the Bank of Israel, former chair of JP Morgan Chase International. And then on the far right of the picture, you can see Ernesto Zedillo, who is a senior emeritus member of the G30, which connects this group directly down to Project Dandelion. Yeah, Ernesto Zedillo at the G30 and the Elders, Mary Robinson at the Elders and Project Dandelion, turning every issue into a climate issue to get 2 billion people, predominantly women, to act for climate justice in order to drive through this totalitarian global system.
Ben, thank you very much. What can we say to our audience? The information has been all there on screen for you this morning. We hope that you'll share it with other people so that they can understand that their politicians in Westminster are making none of the decisions. All of the decisions are being made by the World Economic Forum and these agents. And this is the reason that Keir Starmer says he's got no interest in Westminster. He'd rather do his business in Davos. So it's out there. Please share it. Now, a huge thank you to everyone who supports the UK column. If you're not supporting us yet, please consider doing this. You can make a donation, or you can take out a membership, a monthly, an annual, or a lifetime membership. Of course, you can buy through the UK column shop. And as we always like to point out, we have Clive de Carle health products, and we make a small percentage off those. So if you're interested in health and you feel you need something, that also helps the UK column. Now, as I've just mentioned to the audience, the information we put out is to be shared. This is why we do it, is to spread the word, the information, the evidence as far and wide as possible. So this is where our audience can be like those very little dandelion seeds spreading on the wind far and wide. And this is a very important thing to do because essentially we can outgrow the powers that Ben has shown us so clearly and what their agenda is. Now, I'd like to say to the audience that we've had a really tremendous response to our new UK column on location, which is Saturday, the 5th of April in Cheltenham. We will put out more of the people speaking in due course, but Catherine Gunn, Alex Thompson and Patrick Henningsen will certainly be speakers. Tickets are going remarkably quickly. So over a third of the tickets have already gone. So we're going to say to UK column members and also new people, if you want to come to this event, we advise you to get online and get hold of a ticket as soon as you can, because this is quite unprecedented response. We think we've hit the correct button with the subject of the deep state. And of course, the location couldn't be better in Cheltenham. So if you haven't got a ticket, please do. Now, tomorrow we're putting out this interview, and I think this is one of yours, Ben, with Rosie Marshall. Is that correct?
It is, yes. It's a fantastic discussion with Rosie Marshall, talking about the amazing work that she's doing with an organisation called Forest of the Fallen in her hometown of Sydney, Australia, to commemorate those that have been injured and killed by the COVID vaccines.
Okay, thank you very much. And as always, we're delighted to advertise the Public Child Protection Wales Conference, 22nd of January. That's going to be in a location near Newport, South Wales, and tickets are £5. These ladies have done brilliant work exposing the abuse of children through the education system. So please do give them support. And we're also going to put a call out for people to help support the fundraiser, which is all about ethical raw milk dairy farming. So you can have a look at that on the GoFundMe page. But this is clearly an issue to do with our health and food, and you can help out by subscribing and donating to that campaign. Now, moving on.